The world's biggest advanced economies are close to reaching an agreement on global taxation that will change the world, according to the German finance minister. He was in London meeting his G7 counterparts ahead of next week's Leaders' Summit. The plans aim to ensure that the biggest multinational companies, and in particular the major tech firms, stop exploiting tax loopholes. Our economics editor Faisal Islam has the story.
In a crisis, an opportunity for historic global change. The Chancellor's welcome, still from behind masks and with no handshakes, but this the first major in-person meeting of the world's most powerful nations since the COVID outbreak, ahead of the Cornwall G7 summit next week. All of the finance ministers here have been borrowing incredible amounts, trillions of euros, dollars and yen, to support their economies through the pandemic and have coffers to fill. And at the same time, COVID-19 has accelerated sales, profits and revenues at multinational digital giants who have proved difficult to squeeze taxes out of. So the world's big economies are deciding at this meeting to set a global minimum rate of corporation tax.
We are spending a lot of public money to protect our economies against the consequences of the COVID and to have a quick and very strong economic recovery. But we need money and we need new resources.
So how do you sell this within the European Union to your colleague, the President of the Eurogroup, the Finance Minister of Ireland?
I can understand the difficulty of Ireland and some other European countries, but when there is such an international impetus, this is in the interest of all 27 European member states to say, yes, we are on board and we are supporting this new international tax system.
It is the US leading the charge on this under President Biden's Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, a massive turnaround from the Trump administration, and those in the room say this agreement will be historic.
We will have an agreement which will really change the world, and we will be able to do what we have to do for our people, and this will be a turning point in global cooperation, because the last decades were going into the other direction. Now we are going into the right one.
The finance ministers will squeeze big global corporations with a minimum tax rate of at least 15% applying around the world. The crisis means they've got no choice. But in the fine detail of these negotiations, there's still a question about who gets that bounty. That's why the Chancellor's been cautious so far. Will it go predominantly in hundreds of billions of dollars to the coffers of President Biden from the US tech giants? Or can they agree that not just the profits, but the sales in, say, Britain from these big global tech giants can be taxed by Britain? Talks over making it compulsory for major companies to report on their plans for cutting carbon emissions are also on a knife edge. As one minister put it, if the West doesn't work together to set the rules for the 21st century, then China will. Faisal Islam at the G7 meeting in London.